How do you create this kind of environment in 3D? Today I want to try something a little bit different and branch out into a new idea. We're gonna go through the full process of building a scene like this in Blender, starting completely from scratch. This will be more of an overview than a step-by-step guide, because I don't want to bore you guys with every little detail. We'll go through all the important parts, from references to blocking out the scene, to lighting, to finishing everything up, just without stopping at every single click. And let me know what you think about this format in the comment section below. If you guys enjoy this style, this could easily turn into a series. This video is sponsored by A2-3D, one of the biggest asset libraries, so stick till the end to know about their offer. So, making an environment in 3D is kind of a fine art. It is not that hard to get started, but it really takes time to get good at. I wouldn't say I'm a master of anything, but I've learned a few things over the years, and in this video, I want to share some things with you that helped me over the years, and hopefully this will help you too. And who knows, as I said, this might even turn into a series. Some of the older subscribers remember the OG tutorials I used to make. Nonetheless, let's jump right into it. For this, I had 4 ideas for this video. First, a haunted Victorian 18th century manor. The second one is a post-apocalyptic hospital, maybe with a zombie theme. Third, a very clean and simple kitchen. And the last one is a hacker room, tech hideout kind of space. So these were the options. I was originally going to choose the haunted manor, but then I remembered I only have a week to finish this. Because of that, I decided to go with the hospital medical room theme, since it felt like a more manageable choice. That said, I think this is a strong setting for storytelling. Every environment should tell a story, otherwise it is just clutter. The story with this one is gonna be very generic. I didn't have time to flesh it out, but I was thinking military medical facility, with creatures, experiment gone wrong, and post-apocalyptic. Maybe, we'll see. So the first step for pretty much any project is basically references. You've probably heard this before. You're only as good as your reference folder, and honestly, that's very true. Before I start building anything, I try to collect as many images as I can that have this kind of mood, details, or elements I might want to use in my own scene. I usually go through Pinterest, ArtStation, and sometimes just Google images. No discrimination here. If it looks interesting, I'm saving it. Even if the image isn't exactly what I need, it might have that kind of lighting I like, or props, or colors, or just a cool vibe I can borrow from. Then drag and drop everything into PureRef. Also, I'm using A2-3D library for this video, so I'm just making sure it has everything I need, which I think it does. A lot of medical stuff, textures, and decals, which are gonna be handy. Usually when you are making an environment, you don't really need to model everything by hand. Whatever library you are using, it is gonna be a huge time saver. Alright, now we're gonna have our references, and this is something that will make your life way easier later, is deciding a few key things about your scene before you ever open the software. This helps lock in the idea early, so you're not just randomly placing props and hoping it works. It doesn't mean everything has to stay exactly like this, but it gives you a really solid starting point. For example, in a lot of these references, there's kind of machine or hospital bed right in the center, and I like how that immediately gives the scene a clear focus. So I think this is gonna be my focal point. For lighting, I want something more dramatic, probably a strong overhead light to push that creepy, mysterious feeling. Camera angle wise, I'm not gonna overthink it yet. I usually like to decide this one once I'm inside the software, so I can move around the scene. For the color palette, a lot of these references have a green and orange mix, which always has this horror theme, a bit military, and a bit experimental, so I think this will fit properly. And overall, the main mood I want from this scene is tension, mystery, and maybe a little bit of fear. Like something happened here, and we are not exactly sure what it is. You can play way more than this if you want, but honestly, this is already enough to keep the whole project on track without overcomplicating things. Also, I only have a week for this, as I said. So let's jump to the software and start creating. It doesn't matter what software you're using. In this case, I'm using Blender. We will start with a blocking phase. You don't have to do this exact thing, but it helps a lot. It lets you figure things out before committing too much time to stuff that you might not like down the line. For instance, camera position, lighting, and details or space. At this stage, keep everything super simple. What we are trying to do here is just blocking. Think of it like a very rough sketch. Once that is done, you can add some lights and set up the camera. For lighting, I just added an overhead light. I went with a 70mm focal length, just to make it more claustrophobic, but I think I can change it later. Just don't worry about perfection here. Only make sure you can see the direction, and then you're good to go. I hope you got the idea. This is kind of a lot, I know, but sometimes you gotta get through the boring stuff. But we are getting to the fun stuff. Next is the detailing stage. This is where we start replacing all those gray boxes with actual assets. I remember when I first started doing environments, I used to get stuck on every tiny detail, modeling every screw, every bolt, every little prop, and before I knew it, I was 8 hours deep into something that you can barely see in the final shot. If your project is about creating one asset, then by all means, go ahead and put all your time into creating that. But if that's not the aim, you don't really need to reinvent the wheel or recreate everything from scratch. Our time is valuable. That's why using pre-made assets can save you a ton of time. And for this project, I'm using A23D. It is an endless library of assets, models, materials, and decals. The platform offers a wide range of assets, from super detailed to low poly and everything in between. They support every 3D software under the sun and every format, and they also offer integration for easy import into all major DCC software. So in my case, I'm using the Blender add-on. Also, a big plus, no AI content across the platform. All assets are created by their in-house team, which is very good in this day and age. I will talk a bit more about A23D later, but for now, all I'm doing is going through the library and packing assets that fit the scene. A hospital bed, some tables, a stretcher, IV bags, blood bags, heart monitors, and all those kind of stuff. Honestly, I don't even know what half of these machines do. I'm just searching for medical equipment and grabbing anything that looks like it belongs to this type of environment. The A23D add-on also makes importing this stuff really easy. All I'm doing is grabbing assets and placing them in my scene. You might notice most of these assets are pretty clean, but my scene is supposed to feel more abandoned, dusty, and a little dirty. So here is a quick trick I use to add dust on top of objects. This is not the most optimized way to do it, but for renders, it works great. First, duplicate the object. Then in the material, use a dirt mask as a factor between a transparent shader and a principled shader, so only the dirt shows on top of the original object. After that, go into the edit mode, select everything, and scale using Alt+S, not just S, Alt+S. This scales the mesh along the normals, so it expands evenly, and you only need about like a millimeter. One more important thing, go into Object Properties and disable Shadow, so this dirt layer doesn't cast extra shadows. This way, you get a nice dusty look without adjusting every single material in the object. Of course, you can push this further by using a better procedural texture. You can also use gradient texture to simulate that ground dirt or ambient occlusion node to enhance realism. And I want to say something here. I'm not gonna pretend this part is easy. I know, with the power of editing, it might look like everything came together in an hour, but this stage is where you really need to slow down and put in the time. This is where you focus on the focal point of the scene, the stuff the viewer's eye is going to look at the first. In my case, that's the bed, so I spent more time there than anywhere else. For the bedsheet, for example, I used a cloth simulation to drop it onto the creature, so it feels more natural and less stiff. Small things like that make a huge difference. I also gave more attention to the bed itself and the monitor screen behind the bed, because those are more important, and I felt like they deserved a bit more custom work instead of just using them as is. This is usually how I approach it. Not everything needs the same amount of detail, but the important parts definitely do. And for the creature, I grabbed one of the low poly models from the library, as it will be mostly under the bedsheet. You're not gonna see it, and I let its hand poke out a little. Using assets like this is about speed and ease of use. The models come clean with nicely grouped parts and logical pivot points, so you can get them into scenes fast and tweak them however your setup needs. After that, I started scattering small stuff around the scene: surgical tools, bottles, random trash on the floor, and a few blood splatters here and there, just to push the dramatic feel a bit more. I also added a bunch of wires, because in the references, I really liked how the cables made everything feel messy and used, so I used curves to run wires all over the place. For some extra materials, I went back into the platform again and grabbed a few from their material library, just to speed things up and keep everything consistent. Floor tiles, concrete, metal, you name it. There are a ton of options, but for Blender, I would love to see procedural materials in the future. Here's another feature that the platform offers: IES profiles. These light textures are a really easy way to achieve realistic lighting effects. You simply pick one of these profiles and use it as a texture for your lighting inside Blender. And there is a lot of them here, 10,242 to be precise. Last but not least, there are decals. Decals are a great way to push your scene further, without extra modeling or texturing. For example, I used these leak textures by importing them as planes and placing them where they made sense. This blood under the bed, or these stains on the windows, also these stains on the screen. And after all that, this was the final result. I wanted to keep this video a bit shorter and more straight to the point, so I didn't go into every single detail about modeling and texturing, as there are plenty of videos out there explaining that, but here are a few tips that you should keep in mind. Think about your composition. Don't get stuck on trivial stuff that nobody is gonna notice. Give yourself a deadline so the project doesn't drag forever. And don't model everything. And don't be afraid to use assets. In the end, I want to thank A23D for sponsoring this video. If you need high-quality handcrafted 3D assets, A23D has a huge library with over 700,000 assets, including models, materials, decals, and even IES light profiles, which are those realistic light textures you see in the renders. One thing about the platform is that everything is made in-house, as I said, so the quality stays consistent, and you don't have to jump between different sites trying to find matching assets. They also have one of the most affordable plans out there. The starter plan begins at $19 a month, and the unlimited plan at $29 a month, which gives you full access to the whole library with unlimited downloads. They also support pretty much every major 3D software, and there is even a Blender add-on that lets you import assets directly into your scene with one click, which speeds up the workflow when building environments like this. They also have a good amount of free assets available if you want to try the library first. So if you're interested, links will be in the description. And if you want more breakdowns like this, let me know in the comment section below, because it might turn into a full series. And there you have it, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.